Throughout the previous videos, we have implemented the project to have a complete authentication system. So we can log in, we can join, we can forget the password through emails. And let me show you the registration process. So we're gonna use a new email. I'm gonna say yusuf@example.com. And my password is going to be Yusuf. So I say agree and join. A call is going to be made to our backend, which is going to register the user into the database, and the backend also will send this email upon registration. So I'm going to grab this one and verify, and I can access the homepage. While the general layout of the LinkedIn homepage looks like this, in this video we are going to take our project into the next level. Earlier I've showed you that a user is being able to access the homepage simply after validating its email, but it's not the case on LinkedIn. After registration, they are going to be asking you information about you. So in this video we are going to be building the backend logic that's going to help us have the UI change that I'm showing you that we will be building in the next one. So now if I register, let's say I'm going to register myself. Okay, let me register actually, because here at example.com, and my password is going to be simply Yusuf. So if I say agree and join, it's going to ask me to verify the email like before. So let me come back here. So as you can see, it's sent to me. Grab it, paste. But before accessing the homepage, the application now is able to ask information about me. So I'm gonna give my name and also my last name. So I'm able to say next. Then it's going to be asking me about my latest company. Let's say I work at Docker. I'm not inspired. And my latest position was a HR manager, let's say. So I say next. Okay. Then it's going to be asking me my location. So let's say I live like in New Delhi, India. So right now we are like trusting the user to give us a valid location, but in upcoming videos we will be making HTTP calls to make sure that the user is choosing a location that's valid. That we'll be doing in upcoming videos. So for now we're going to say submit, and as you can see, I am being able to access the homepage that also has completely changed. So now, as you can see, we have a default image of the user because we didn't set a picture, and we are able to see posts that are coming, because these posts actually we will be creating them by default so that we have something that we can show. And I can actually like a post, as you can see. So as you can see, it's saying you and 3 others like this. I can dislike it. Now it's just to 2 others, and I can comment a post. As you can see, let's say I say hi and hit enter. So it's posted. I can edit it. Hi there, let's say, paste. So it's edited. I'm also going to be able to post a post. So it's going to be hello. For now, we'll be asking the image URL. In upcoming videos, we'll be adding the logic where we can upload an image. So let me grab actually an image address here, paste it, and as you can see, my post is here. And here on this tab, I'm logged in with another user. It's called John Doe. And if I now refresh this page, he's seeing the post that I have made with the other user. So if I like this, okay, it's saying you like this. Let me come back. I refresh the page. I won't be able to see my posts, which is normal because on LinkedIn, you won't be seeing your own post here. But I have just added this filter so just we can test. So it's when we hit on all, you are able to see your own post as well. So as you can see, it's saying now that John Doe has liked. Okay. So here, John Doe can also comment. Let's say, I say hi. Okay. Enter. Right now we are I'm refreshing the page to see the changes because we didn't implement the real-time changes that we'll be doing in upcoming videos. Okay, so if I refresh and now come to the home page again, I can see that John Doe has posted this 17 seconds ago. Okay, John Doe can edit it. Okay, from hi to, let's say, hi Yusuf. Okay, enter. I refresh the page, all comments. as you can see, it's edited and now it's Hey Yusuf. And I can also delete my post. So when I delete a post, we'll be having comments that are linked to this post. What is going to be happening to this post? So they should be deleted as well, and we'll be thinking of all this logic. So how to make sure that our backend, our database is going to be very clean, in the sense that we wouldn't want, for example, to have comments that are not linked to any post, okay, or posts that are not linked to any user and all. So we'll be learning more about the Spring Data JPA, how to create relations between tables and all. So I'm gonna actually delete this one. If I delete, so it's gone now, okay. And if I refresh the page, before it was this one the first, if I refresh, as you can see, it's gone now. So in this video, we'll be building the backend that's going to help us ask information about the user, the backend logic also that's going to help us build all the logic that I have showed you here, posting, editing them. Actually, I didn't show, but I can edit my posts. So let me enter this, and then I can say edit, and now I'm going to say hi. So let me just, before editing, I'm going to refresh here. So now it has this, and let's say I'm gonna say edit, and edit it to hi there with an image, okay. I'm gonna say a copy image address, paste it, so it's edited now. Refresh here, as you can see, it's edited now. So this video is going to be about the backend logic, and in the next one we will be building the changes on our front end that I'm showing you right now. And if you're new to this series, the link of the playlist is going to be down below. And if you are someone that's interested both in backend development with Java and Spring Boot and front-end development with React.js, you can watch all the videos of the series. If you're only interested in the backend side, you can watch the videos that will have this backend tag on the thumbnail. And if you're interested in the front-end side, only in the front-end side, you can watch the front-end tags, okay? I'm going to make sure to separate this so that people can follow what they like the most. And there are going to be also some videos that will have the full stack tag, and they are going to be videos that are not quite long, where we'll be tackling both sides. But since it's not going to be very long, either of you guys can watch. In our previous backend video, we have built these endpoints, like the register, the login, the get user, verify email, send password, and that actually was enough to have an authentication system. But now that we need to have more information about the user, and also be able to create posts, to like them, to dislike them, and also to post comments like I showed you in the beginning of the video, we need more endpoints. And these endpoints, that's what we'll be building in this video. On the backend side, of course, we'll be building this update profile to update the profile of the user, to add more data. We'd have a create post, a get a post, edit post, get posts of a user, get all the posts in the database, get the feed, the feed is the post where you wouldn't see your own post, okay, delete a post, comment a post, edit a comment, delete a comment as well. And finally, we'll also be implementing the delete user. And the delete user, we're going to be implementing it, even though the front end is not going to be needing it in the next video. I am going to use this one to showcase some data integrity constraints, like what happens if I try to delete a user that has a post somewhere, okay. So let me go and clone the project. So it was on GitHub, and you're gonna be having the link of the project in the description below, okay. So let me clone it. I'm gonna go on my desk. Okay, so let me go within so I'm actually gonna be opening the project with IntelliJ. So let's say open desk, and I'm going to open the backend. As you can remember, we have got our Docker Compose for setting up our MySQL, and also the SMTP server that I have showed you in the beginning of the video. So let me run those. So it's going to be Docker Compose up. So we have our mailhog and the MySQL which are running. Then let me come here, and we are going to use the Gradle continuous build without the test, so that every time there is a change, Gradle will rebuild the project, so that the Spring Dev Tools package is able to restart it. Okay, and then I'm gonna finally start the project. Yeah, like this. So it's running, and if we look into our database, let me refresh it, we would have only one table, because for the authentication that was the only thing that we needed. So to get started, let us create our first endpoint, which is going to be the endpoint to update the user profile data that I showed you in the beginning after creation. So it's going to be a put mapping, and we're going to map to /profile /id, like this. And it's going to be a public, and it's going to return the authentication user. It's going to be called update user profile, and it's going to grab, like, let me actually just paste it so you don't watch me type all of this it's gonna be a waste of your time. So we are gonna first thing first grab the user that's coming from the GWT token after authentication. This is actually set by our filter here as you can see. Okay, so we grab this one, and then we're gonna grab the pass variable, which is this, and then like multiple request params. All of them are not required, like first name, last name, company, position, and location, because what we want is that our client, like we want the client to be able to ask us to update one or another. He can ask us to update all of them at once, but someone should be able to just update its first name. Okay, so that's what we're enabling with this, and we're gonna use our service to update only the thing that do not have a null variable, a null value. Okay, so and then we're gonna go here, and the first thing to do is to check that the user that's asking to update is the user that's authenticated. So let's say John Doe is authenticated, and he called this endpoint using the ID of, let's say, Maria. He shouldn't be able to do that. So that's the first check that we do here. So we say if the user, like from the authentication, is different from the user that's asking, we should throw an exception, and we need to import this from Spring framework, like this. And we need to create this getter, because we didn't before, so it's a long, and we should return the ID, which is our primary key here. Okay, and then what we do, we are just simply gonna call our update service like this, and this method we need to create it as well. And all it does, let me paste it also so that you don't watch me like type all of this. So what it does is that it's going to so this, we're gonna call it user ID. So it's going to call our repository to grab the corresponding user, and if it doesn't exist, it's going to throw a user not found. Okay, and then what we do is that we are gonna update our user for the thing that do not have a value that's null, and then save it into the database. But if you remember, guys, during the authentication backend video, we didn't set any of these properties on our user model. Okay, so we need to add that. So we should go into our model and add these four properties and create getters and setters for each one of them. Like this, save. Now if you come back here, like it's green. Spring Data JPA has updated our table, so if we refresh here and look into our columns, we have the ones that we just added. Okay, so let us go into our Postman and test all of this. First, I'm going to log in with the default user, grab the token. I'm going to add it on the profile, on the project level here, choosing a barrier token here, save, and get the user. Okay, so here I'm using the token from the project. So as you can see, we are getting the user back, and all of these profile data are null. So let us call the update profile, and it's going to be /profile/ the ID of the profile, which is which is 1 here. Here. Then we are going to set request params. I'm setting here first name and just position in, not the others. Okay, so I'm going to send, and as you can see, we are getting the data back. There is one other thing that we should add on the user profile side, because if you remember, the React project was able to ask us after login, after sign up, to ask us information. Okay, so how it determines which user should be shown this screen and which one not. Okay, so for that we will be having a profile complete field here. So it's going to be a boolean, so it's going to be a private boolean. It's going to be called profile complete, and by default it's going to be false. Okay, and we are gonna create a private like helper, which is going to define that this should be true whenever all these 4 like attributes are set. Okay, so we're gonna add it somewhere here, the method. Okay, so it's a private, and all it does is that it's gonna check that the first name is not null, the last name is not null, the company is not null, the position is not null, and the location is not null. If all of these are not null, the profile complete is going to be true. And this one we are gonna call it after like each of these set calls. Okay, so when we call set first name, we are going to call our update profile status. Okay, and we're gonna do the same for the set last name, for the set company, and for the set position. Okay, let me just make sure that I have 4 calls for this. So okay, that's good. We shouldn't forget to add at least a setter like here, so that like the ORM that's behind the Spring Data JPA Hibernate is able actually to set this profile. Okay, so now if I refresh the database, we should have our new column. So it was profile complete. Yeah, it's this one, and it's a boolean. And if we go back to our Postman and try to grab the user, we're gonna get it here, and it's false. So let us actually send all the remaining data, so this one become true. Go to here, and then we have the position where the first name. I'm gonna also send the last name, so let's say it's going to be Mar. We are also gonna send the location, so let's say I am in Dakar. Okay, and send. Still it's false. Yeah, I should also send the company here, so the company should be let's say Docker. Send. So as you can see, now the profile is complete. So now let us actually tackle our feed feature. The feed feature is like the home page where we have posts and comments. So for that, we're gonna actually creating a new package. I'm gonna call it feed, and it's going to be in the features folder like this. And the first thing, we're gonna create the post model, and we're gonna call it post, and it should be in the model folder like this. In this model folder, this model, it should be so an entity. So we're gonna tell that to Hibernate using from the Jakarta persistence, and we're gonna set the name. It should be post like this. And actually, like with the Jakarta persistence, when you add an entity, they are gonna force you to set a primary key. Okay, so that's what it's saying actually. So it's saying add ID. Okay, so we should add the ID, and we should annotate it with the ID here. And this, if actually we hover over, it says it specifies the primary key of an entity. The field or property to which the ID annotation is applied should be one of the following types. These, like, so it should be like a wrapper. Okay, we cannot say that it should be an int like this. Okay, because the default value of an int is 0, while the default value of a integer or long is null. And Hibernate, the ORM that's behind Spring Data JPA, whenever it finds something where the primary key is null, it interprets it as a new entity to create. Okay, and when it's another number, it's another value, it's gonna try to fetch this entity and update it. So it's gonna be bad to have 0, because it's gonna try to find the post where the ID is 0, like if we were to use an int here. Okay, so now that our ID is set, like a post, as I showed you on the UI earlier, should have so a private string, which is going to be content like this, and also a private string which should be our picture. We will add the author, but for now just let's add these two. And we want to make sure that our content is not empty. Okay, so we're going to use the not empty constraints from the Jakarta validation here, and let us create getters and setters. Save. And now if we look into our database, so let me come here. Before we only had the user table, we should have two of them. Sorry, yeah, as you can see, we have our post. Okay, so we have an ID, a content, and a picture. And if you guys want to know how actually Hibernate is being able to map this entity to a SQL table, you simply can add into your application.properties here and say Spring so GPA dot show SQL to true like this. And if we save, as you can see, and we can also actually say that it should format SQL so that we get a formatted log here. So now if we actually look here, so as you can see, it is actually running real SQLs behind the scene, and it's saying drop the table if it exists, it's dropping the post, and also it's dropping the users. That's because we are saying that every time the project restart, I want you to create a new table, a new database. So, and then it's actually creating the post. It's saying it has an int which should not be null, and it is also the primary key, and also it's setting the content in the picture, and it's doing the same thing for the users table, as you can see here. And it's also adding some constraints here on the user, because we, if you remember, used a column on the email here, like the column here coming from the from the Jakarta persistence, and said that this should be unique. So this is the unique constraint that Hibernate is adding. And then upon the project start, it's calling an insert, and it's adding our default user. And this actually is coming from here, from our configuration, load database configuration, which is this thing. So now that we know that, you might be actually asking why we did create this post model in the first place. Why couldn't we just add our the data of a post here directly on the user model? Okay, so well, we cannot do that because we don't know ahead of time how many posts a user can have, okay? And we, like our database needs to know ahead of time the columns that we would have here, okay? So that's why we need a different table, and we need to like map these different tables. Like we need to find a way to tell that for every row in our post table, what is like who is the author, okay? So that is something that like SQL is very good at. So we're going to be creating links between our tables, and since we're using Spring Data JPA, we can do that with the help of annotations, okay? So if you guys have taken a relational database 101 course, whether at uni or in a bootcamp, you know that we talk about like relations very often, because that's where actually these database thrive. And we talk about many-to-many relations, one-to-one relations. We also talk about many-to-one relations, and that's what actually we will be doing here. So if we go into our post here, I said earlier that like for each post we need to know like who is the author, okay? So the first thing to do is that we need a private attribute. So private attribute is going to be of type our authentication user, okay? And we're going to call it author, like so. So after that, we need to like tell our ORM like what is the relation between this entity and this entity. Like right now it's yelling, you see? So it's saying entity attribute is not marked with association annotation, okay? So we need to add annotation to tell what is the relation between the two. So if you remember, I was saying that an author should be linked to one and only one a post should be linked to one and only one author, okay? And an author can have multiple posts, so that is a many to one relation, okay? And if we look into our logs here, so let me just make it a little bit bigger. So we had the thing that we had earlier, and then what it's doing, that it's creating a new constraint on the post table, and it's saying that we are having a foreign key that's going to be called author ID, that's referencing the user's ID, okay? And actually this foreign key name, this one, like this, you can change it like if you want, using the join column here and setting a name. So the default name is going to be, it's going to take this and like add the name of the ID that's associated with this model, like using this underscore. So we can specify it here. Let me actually do that, or let's say it should gonna be just author. We can say just that, and if we let it refresh, so as you can see it's called author now. But since in the database it's gonna be storing so the user ID, okay, it makes sense to have like author ID like so. We could remove it also because by default that's what it does. So now if we look into our database, if we refresh and look into our columns, as you can see we have our author ID, and it is like this thing. And if we look into let me refresh again, so into our foreign keys, we're gonna have this actually, and it's saying that we have our author ID that's targeting the ID, okay? So let us test all of this. For that, first thing first, we're gonna be needing a package where we're gonna add our post repository. So it's going to be repository like this in the feed, and create our post repository. So it should be an interface. It's going to be called post repository like so, and it should extend the GPA repository, and we should give it like which entity it should help us query and the type of the like ID of this entity. So it was long. So save all of this, and here we're also going to create a controller package and a service package like so. So here we're gonna have a Java class, and we're gonna call it so actually the service, we're gonna call it feed service, okay, because this is where we're gonna be having also the logic for the comments, okay. It's not just specific to posts, so we're gonna call it feed service. And also the controller, we're gonna call it feed controller. So it should be with 1, 2, L. Like so. So let me use the REST controller annotation, and also I'm gonna have a request mapping here, and here we'll be mapping things that come to API version 1 and everything that's related to feed, okay. And the first thing that we need is to grab our feed service and instantiate it, or post service, sorry. So it's actually called feed service. Feed service, and instantiate it. So using our controller, let me import it like so. White selling. Yeah, okay, I know. It's saying that could not auto-wire, because we should add here that this is a service, okay, like so. So now if we come back, let me actually create the create post mapping here. I'm gonna paste it to not waste your time watching me type all of this. So it's gonna be a post mapping, and we are gonna be returning like the posts that we have created. Let me also import the response entity from Spring, and also the request body, like so. And we're also grabbing the user from the GWT token, okay. And then what we do is we call our create post, and what type of data we will be getting as part of the request body. So it's called a post DTO. You may already know that DTO stands for like data transfer object. So we're gonna need this DTO package. I call it DTO, and we are gonna be having a Java class that's gonna be called post DTO, okay. And this DTO actually is quite straightforward as well. So I'm gonna just paste it. So it's just it just has two values: the content picture, and then getters and setter, and an empty constructor which is needed by the Jackson library, which is going to transform this into JSON, okay, behind the scene. So let me come back here into our controller. No, not this one. So here to our feed controller, and let me import the DTO, okay. Then we need to create this method here. So let me rename it to author ID, like this. And here we're actually going to be needing the post repository and the user repository, okay. So let me do that also here, and add the constructor like so, so that they are auto-wired, okay. So the first thing we do is that we're gonna try to grab the user here, okay. Like so. If it doesn't exist, we're gonna throw like a user not found error, which is gonna be catched by our like backend controller to send a nicely formatted error that we did in the previous backend video. So then we're gonna create a post, okay, and we are going to give it the content, get content, and also we're gonna give the author, okay. And then what we do is we're gonna set the picture like so, and then we're gonna return like the saved version of it. But we don't have actually this constructor, so let me add it here, and we're gonna say just like this, okay. And also let me add getters and setters here for the author, like so. So now that we have all of this, I think we can test it. So let us go into our postman. So it was create post here, and I'm using like the token from the like project, and it's a post, and we are sending a JSON, and we are saying hello world, and we are giving this picture. Okay, so as I said in the beginning of the video, later on we're gonna have a functionality where we can upload images instead of sending like URLs. Okay, so let me send. So something is wrong. Yeah, it was feed in post. Okay, so feed and then post, and still we are getting another error saying that the identifier, like the ID of the post, should be manually assigned before calling. So that actually we don't want to do that. We actually just need to tell our model here to actually generate this ID for us. Okay, so we're going to use the generated value, and we actually can use one of the three, like there are 1, 2, 3, 4 strategies of generating IDs, like primary keys, that from which we can choose, and I often use like identity. Okay, personal choice. So now if we save and we try again, so we're getting back our post. So we have pasted a post where the author is our user example, which was logged in. Okay, and actually it's yelling because we also need to add the empty constructor. Okay, save it. So let us actually implement the delete user endpoint to see what happens, like now that our user has this post attached to it. Okay, so for that I'm actually gonna go here into our authentication controller here. Okay, and we're gonna use a delete mapping. So I'm just gonna paste it so you don't watch me type, because it's quite straightforward. Okay, so and then we're gonna create this delete user in our service, and it's simply gonna so call our authentication, and then it's gonna delete it. Okay, so let us come back to our postman and try to delete the user. So if we send this URL, like we are deleting the authenticated user. Okay, so let me click send and see what happens. So you see we're getting an error saying that could not execute a statement because like it cannot delete this user because there is a foreign key constraint that's being violated. Okay, so our author ID that is set in the post table, it's a foreign key. So a foreign key means that there is an entity like in the user table that's linked to this, so you cannot just delete it. Okay, and that's one of the power of relational databases. Okay, like they out of the box help you have constraints that makes your database cleaner. And what we want is that when we delete a user, we delete all its posts. Okay, so how we do that? We're gonna go into our model here, authentication user model, and we are actually gonna set the post here and add annotations to do that. Okay, so we say that we are gonna be having a list of posts, which is normal. Okay, so they are posts. Let me import. No, it should be a list from Java tool, and also import our post, and they are gonna be our post. Okay, and we're gonna here say that it was a one-to-many relation. Yeah, like a author would have multiple if you remember posts, so it's a one-to-many relation. Before, like in the post model, it was here, so as you can see it was a many-to-one, but here it's a one-to-many. Okay, and here we are actually going to be able to say what happens when we delete the user. Okay, so we're going to say use the cascade, and we're going to say use the cascade type, and we're going to say all. Okay, doing that is that we're saying whenever something happens to this entity, I want you to apply it also to the post. Okay, and this actually happens whenever like we delete the user, it's gonna also delete. So we actually can say here, instead of all, we can just say remove, like when we remove the user, remove his post. But we can use all so that we all like apply all others as well. So like this. And also we're going to use the orphan removal, which is set to true as well. So that actually is going to help us delete a post whenever it's not linked to a user anymore. Like this actually will work when we delete the user from the database, but we also want when a post is not linked to a user, not because the user is deleted, but we just like unlinked it. Okay, if we do that, it should also be removed, so that will help us do that. So let me save, and now if I come here and try to delete the user, as you can see, user deleted successfully, and the post should also be gone. So if I refresh, as you can see, there is no post anymore. Still speaking of this relation between post and user, there is one thing that we are missing. To show you actually the problem, let me come here in the feed service, and let's say a developer, while updating this function, he forgot and he do not use this author and gives a null. What happens? Let me save, and we're gonna try like to create the user here. Okay, so let me send. So as you can see, we're getting back the post and it also is null. That doesn't make any sense, right? We said that it should actually a post should have an author always. So to ensure that is the case always, we're gonna go into our model here, and we're gonna say that this author should not be null. Okay, and now if I let me restart all of this, if I try to create this, as you can see, I'm saying like it's saying we cannot create this because the author ID cannot be null. And let me add it back. So we're gonna say author like so. Now we can create it. And to show you actually another problem that might occur, speaking of this relation between post and user, let me come to the user model here, and let us create actually getters and setters for this post. Okay, so that when we try to grab this user, okay, we get it post as well as part of the JSON. So let us create the post, okay, and then let me try to grab the user. Okay, this user has the post that we created. Just so if I send, as you can see, we are getting that we cannot actually serialize this authentication. Why? Because like our like the Jackson library is going to convert this into JSON. So it's gonna convert all of this to JSON, and then when it finds this object, and it's going to try to also convert it to JSON. Okay, and if it goes here, it's going to find the author again. So there is a loop that's happening. Okay, so that's the problem, and for that, that's a very common problem that you might run into. That's why I wanted to show you that, guys. So for that, we're gonna need to either ignore the author here or on the user. Okay, and I'm gonna actually choose to like ignore it here. So I'm gonna say JSON ignore, like so. Save, project start. Now I create a post like before, try to get my user, and it works. There is one other thing actually, like when right now we have actually this post field that's helping us to grab the post of a user, although we are not sending it as part of the JSON response when we get the user. Okay, we are able in our code to access the post of a user on the user object. Okay, and also in the post we are able to access the author of the user. So we have a bidirectional relation, okay? So we can access a author from the post and the post from an author, okay? So if that's the case, actually there is one thing that we should do, is that if actually, let me actually just open this one-to-many annotation, and if we scroll a little bit, we have this mapped by, okay? And it says that the field that owns the relationship, like in the relationship between a post and a user, which table is the owner, is responsible for having the foreign key, okay? And it's required unless the relationship is unidirectional. So we're going to set that on the authentication user model here. We're going to say that the author, so author like this, is the field that is the owner of the relation. Because like if we look here in our post, so here the join column is being set by this field, okay? So this is the field that's the owner of the relation. Like we are having the foreign key in the table, like in the post table, okay? So that's what we need to tell here on the user side here. So I saved it, and like we are getting these errors. And actually sometimes when there is a database update, sometimes I don't know why, but it fails, and you need to actually clear your database and restart, okay? And for that I just delete them manually here, drop, they're gone, and I'm just gonna restart it, okay? So now it's running, and to show you that the owner of the relation is the post entity, let me actually come here, and we're gonna open like the two tables that we have. If we look into the users columns, as you can see, there is nowhere we are mentioning a post, like something related to a post, okay? And if we look into our post columns here, we have the author ID, which is like the foreign key that's linking the two, okay? This is why we're saying that the post is the owner of the relation. So coming back, if you guys have noticed, I have removed the JSON ignore that we added because we had a loop when Jackson is transforming our user entity into JSON. So let me actually remove it. I removed it because I wanted to show you what happens if we like didn't add this mapped, like a bug that will rise. So I'm gonna save this, and let me come back to the postman, and let us send this, okay? So we just created a post where the ID is 1 and the author is this, okay? And if you look into the post array, okay, it's empty. Like this is weird, right? This is one of the problem, like bugs that you might run into if you don't add the mapped by in a like a bidirectional relation, okay? So let us save all of this, come back to our postman, send. So before it was empty, now that we have added our mapped by, if I send again, so as you can see, we are getting the author, and in the author we are getting its post, okay? And if we try to get the user here, send, we're gonna get the same loop error. So we get the user, and in the user we see that it has posts, and in the post we see that we have an author, and an author is a user. So we try to serialize this user, and this user has, so we are getting this loop. So this is why we have to ignore on one side, and I am ignoring it on the user side, okay? So save. So now everything should work. So another thing that we didn't do is that when I showed you the UI in the beginning of the video, the posts were actually sorted like by creation date, okay? So the newly created post is at the top, and for now there is no way we would know that. So for that, we're gonna go into our post model, and we will like have a creation date field. Okay, so we're gonna say it's gonna be a private, and it's going to be of type local that time. Okay, and it's gonna be a creation date. Okay, and we're gonna use the annotation from Hibernate, which is called creation timestamp, like this, and it should come from Hibernate annotation, as you can see here. And just by adding that, we're gonna get out of the box like a creation date. So we're gonna add getters and setters, save. Okay, so now if I try to create a post, it was this. Okay, so send. So we're getting back, and we're getting the creation date. Okay, also we are gonna have a update, like updated date. As I showed you, when we update a post, we are showing that also on the UI, so we need that. So it's also going to be a private local that time. Okay, and it's going to be updated date, like so. But we don't have a proper way of having just an annotation for this, and for that we're gonna have to create a pre-update function. Like we're gonna use a pre-update from the Jakarta persistence, and it's going to be a public void pre-update, and here we're gonna say that this dot update date is going to be of local.time.now. Okay, and create also getters and setters for this, like so. Save. So try to create a new post like before. So now we're getting the creation date, and the updated date is null because we didn't update this. So let us create the update endpoint. Let's come back into our feed controller, and to not waste your time, guys, I'm gonna paste them, as it's just a very simple Spring Boot things. And then we're gonna it's gonna be a put mapping, and we're gonna get the ID of the post to update. Okay, and we grab this ID using the pass variable, and then we should get as part of the request body the same DTO that we used to create one. Okay, and then we are also gonna grab the authentication user, because it's only the user that's authenticated that's able to update its post. Okay, and then we are gonna create this edit post in our service here. So here it should be author ID, so it's more explicit. Okay, so in this edit method, the first thing we do is that we are going to try to grab the post, and if it doesn't exist, we're gonna throw post not found. Okay, then we're gonna do the same thing with the user. We're gonna grab it as well. So let's call it user ID actually. So we do the same thing. If it doesn't exist, we're gonna throw this error. Okay, then what we do is that we are gonna check that the the author of the post, okay, is equal to our user. If it doesn't, in this case, we're gonna say this user is not the author of the post. So it would be very catastrophic if anyone could update the post of anyone. So, and after that, we're simply gonna update the content using the post DTO, and also the picture using the post DTO, and finally save and return. Okay, so let me come back into Postman, and where is it? So it's a edit post, and I'm going to use the post ID number 1. Let me come here, and so it's ID 1, and before let me, when we created it, it was hello world. Now we're going to edit it, and it's going to be let's say lorem ipsum. Okay, and we are not going to send a picture. Okay, So if we look into our database here, so I refresh here, if we look the post, our yeah, so we don't have one because when the project restart we don't have any, so we need to create it. So create the post. So now it's created. If we grab them again, so it has a hello world as content, and it also has a picture. So here in the edit side, we're gonna grab the post ID, and we're not gonna be sending a picture, like we're removing the picture to some extent, and then send lorem ipsum. So send sorry, it was feed, like this. So as you can see now, we have a updated date that's different from the creation date. And if we look into our database, okay, the picture is gone, and the updated date, we have a updated date. Okay, so why actually we need this feed? Because if you remember, guys, if we look into our controller here, here, so everything should be feed, and then we are getting the post. So let us complete this controller a little bit. So if you remember, when we come on the LinkedIn homepage, we are getting the feed. Like the feed is the post where we don't show the post of the connected user. Okay, and this is going to be a get mapping to the / feed. So I'm gonna add it here. So it's simply gonna be returning a list of posts imported from Java tool, and we're gonna call a get feed from our service and return it. Okay, so we are giving the connected user ID to the feed so that we don't grab its own post. Okay, so we need to create this method, and what this method does is that it's gonna so it's going to return a find by user, like so. Let me rename it here. So we're gonna call a function from our repository that's gonna be called find by author ID not. Okay, find by author ID not. And actually, like, this is a conventional, like by doing this, our ORM Hibernate is gonna be able to run the like corresponding SQL query. So it's gonna say find the post where the author ID is not this ID, and I want you to order it by creation date using a descended order. Okay, and this we need to define it like in our repository. Okay, let me go here and add this method. Okay, so I need to grab from Java tool, save, come back here to our feed controller. So it's saved. Now if we come back here and create, let's say create a post, so we're gonna create one. Okay, and if we try to get the feed, if I send so it was it was just like this. So if I send, so I'm getting an empty because I'm logged in as user at example.com, and he's the only one that has a post. Okay, which is why we're getting this empty. Like in a bit we're gonna have multiple posts. We're gonna actually use our load database configuration file here to add multiple posts. So you're gonna be seeing really what this returns us. For now, let us continue. So we are also gonna be needing an endpoint to get all the posts. So that was the feature that we had on the UI, where we are able to also show the post of the connected user. Okay, and we need to create this in our service here. So it's gonna be a public get all post. So I'm gonna add it below the feed, and this one we also need to add it. So it's saying find all by order by creation date descendant. So it's the same. We're just simply gonna have to add it in our repository. Okay, so let me grab it. Let us go here and add it. Okay, so if we come back into our controller, it's green now, and here we have an endpoint for getting all the posts. So it is a feed, and then all the posts. Okay, send. Yeah, it has restarted, so there is no post. I'm gonna send again, get all post, send, and as you can see, we are getting them back. And I've went ahead and actually added more endpoints, like an endpoint for deleting a post, for getting the post of a user, for getting a single post by its ID. And all of these are very straightforward, and you can check them in the final code base. The link is going to be down below if you want. And they are all very simple. Like if we look at the delete post, it's just checking that the post exists. If it does, it's gonna throw an error, and if the post exists, it's gonna grab the user and check that the post author is the same as the user, and then just call the delete method. Okay, and for getting the post for a user, we need this find by author ID. Okay, and this we have, since it's not a common method, okay, we had to define it like we did for this here in the repository. Okay, so now let us implement the logic for for being able to like posts. Like a user is going to be able to like multiple posts, okay, and a post can be liked by multiple users. So here we actually have a many-to-many relation. Okay, so we are gonna go into our post model here, and we're gonna say that a post is gonna be able to have like a set, okay, a set of users, and we're gonna call it likes. Okay, let me import this set from Java tool like this, and we're gonna say that this is a many-to-many relation. Okay, and then we are gonna define a join table. So if you remember, guys, for having a one-to-many relation earlier, we simply added the join column in our in our post table, and that was enough. But for a many-to-many relation to work, we need a join table. So that we will be using this annotation for that, and this join table, we're gonna name it. So instead of using the default one, we can say it's gonna be post and likes. Okay, and then we're gonna use the join column attribute here, and use and define actually which column is the owner, like is the one handling this relation, and which one is the inverse table. Okay, and for that we're gonna say the join column is going to be post ID, and the inverse column is going to be the name is going to be a user ID. Okay, user ID, like so. And let us create getters and setters like so. Save, and we're getting an error. Let me clear the database manually. That's what I was saying. Actually, sometimes it just go wrong. So let me actually call it post and likes, and restart. Okay, so it's running. If we go into our database and refresh, we're gonna have our join table. Okay, before we had 2 tables, now we're gonna have 3 of them. So we have post, likes, and if we look at the columns, as you can see, we have the post ID and the user ID, and as they are actually foreign keys, we can see them here. Okay, so they are foreign keys. And if we look into the indexes to search for the primary key, like what is the primary key of this post likes table, if we look, it's gonna be like a couple. Okay, so it's like post ID. We shouldn't have like a row two like different rows where they have the both post ID and user ID. Okay, so that's why the primary key is like made of these two. So let us actually create the endpoint that's going to help us like a post. So it's going to be a put mapping. I'm going to paste it and explain what it does. So it's a put mapping. It's going to grab the ID, and then the remaining path is like. Okay, and we're going calling, like we're grabbing the post ID. Okay, and then we're grabbing the authentication user. Then we're gonna call the like post from our service, and we give it the ID of the user and the post ID. Okay, and this one we need to create it. So let me say create here, and here we're gonna say instead of just ID, it's going to be, let's say, user ID, so that's more clearer. Okay, so the first thing we do is that we're gonna try to grab the post using our repository, and if there isn't one, we throw an error. Then we do the same thing with the user, so we grab it, and if we don't find, okay, we throw an error. Then what we do, actually this endpoint, like the like endpoint, is also the one that we will be using to dislike a post. Okay, so the thing that we need to do is that we're going to say if the post, we're going to get the likes. Okay, and we're going to say it contains like our user. If it contains, we're going to remove it. Okay, we're going to say post.likes remove. Otherwise, okay, otherwise we're going to add it. Okay, and then we are going to save and return the saved version of the post. Suppose like this, and if we come back into our controller here, so this should be green, and let us go into our postman, and we are going to create a post here. So we create it. So as you can see, the likes is null, we don't have any like, and we are going to call the like endpoint. So actually I think we don't have it, so I'm going to create one. I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to say like a post. Okay, and it should go to the feed, and we're going to give it the ID of the post, and then we're going to say like. Okay, and as part of the headers, I should inherit the token from the parent. So let us say send. So it was post and then post ID. So like this, say send. So as you can see, we have the author like before, and now it has likes, and each like is a user. Okay, and if we call our endpoint again, it should remove it from the like. So if I send again, so as you can see, the like is now empty. So let us like again. Okay, so we have the like, and let us delete our user. Okay, I'm gonna delete it, so the user is gone. So the like that we generated here should also be gone. Okay, so if we look into our database, if we grab the users, so there is no user, and because we made sure earlier that when we delete a user, like its corresponding post should also be deleted, so we have deleted the user, the post, and since both of them are gone, the row in our post likes is also gone. Okay, but what happens if we have liked a post of another user? In this case, we actually like the like our own post, which is working. So for that, we're gonna actually create more users and more posts here. So let me actually just paste it, because it's a just for now, like we're creating multiple users with this function, which is just returning a list of users, and every time it's calling the create users that's below. I'm going to be showing you in a bit. And then we are creating posts, okay, passing the users that we have generated. So for each user, we are defining the name and also the picture that we didn't define, so we are gonna add it in a bit on the model. And then the create user is simply like adding all of these. So as you can see, we are calling the create user, and then we are calling the create post. Okay, the create post is going to generate like multiple posts, like 10 posts. Okay, and it's gonna be like randomly be assigning likes to this post. Okay, so firstly it's gonna grab a random author. Okay, and then it's also gonna assign a number of likes using the generate likes, and this generate like also is simply gonna actually do some if else and say that if they posted the number 1, I want like 3 likes. So that's why we are having this while loop, and for the others we are using a switch and randomly grabbing a like counts and then setting them. Okay, so let us come on our authentication user model here, and we should actually shed a private string that's going to be a profile picture. Okay, like so, and by default is going to be null, like so, and we're gonna create getters and setters. So like so, save, we're gonna let it run. And now if we look into our database, I'm gonna refresh it. Let us grab our users. Like as you can see, we have multiple users. Okay, so let me actually grab the first one, which is John Doe, and we are gonna log in with this one. Okay, come here, this is John Doe, and the password was John Doe. Okay, send. We're gonna grab the token, set it on the project level, save, and we're gonna come here and try to delete this John Doe. Like if we look here, John Doe, he has like the ID number 1, and if we look into our post likes, okay, and we look on the user, like John Doe has like 3 likes. Okay, he has 3 likes, and if we try now to delete John Doe, so let me send. Okay, we're gonna get an error, and that's what I wanted to show you from from the beginning. So if you like, what we are getting is a like key violation. Okay, it's saying that I cannot delete this user because he is referenced in the post likes, okay, as a foreign key. So how we do that? And if we look on our user like on our post here model, it was a many-to-many relation. Okay, and before we were able to add the cascade, like on the user here, we are able to add this cascade type all in removal to remove it because it was a one-to-many relation. But for a many-to-many relation, there is like we cannot ask Hibernate with the annotation to do this for us because it's a very complex thing to do. So to avoid problems, we as the developer, we have to define this logic for ourselves when we are deleting our user. So for that, we're gonna go into our delete user method, so which was like this one. And here, before deleting the user, we're gonna make sure to remove all his likes. How we do that? If you remember, guys, we don't have a likes repository, okay? Because there is no entity that's called likes. It's just a table. So here, we have to actually create a SQL query ourselves, and for that Spring Boot is going to help us use like an object that's gonna help us do SQL queries. So it is going to be like the entity, it's called the entity manager, like so, and it should come from the Jakarta persistence, and then we also import this. Okay, so this entity manager is going to help us do our query. Okay, so we're gonna come here, back here, and what do is that we're gonna grab the user first. Okay, so authentication user is going to be user, and we're gonna use our entity manager, and we're gonna say find, and we're gonna give it the authentication user class with the ID. Okay, and then what we do is we're gonna say if so the user is not null. If there is a user, we're gonna do some stuff here. Okay, what we do is that we're gonna, before deleting the user, so that we will be doing, but before we need to remove all the likes. Okay, so we're gonna use the entity manager again, and we're gonna say create a native query. So I wanna actually execute SQL here. So for that, our SQL is gonna say delete. So delete from posts likes table where user ID is equal to our user ID, like so. And we're gonna set the parameter, which is going to be user ID, like so, and it's going to be user ID. Okay, so it's yelling, yeah, because we are just calling it ID instead of user ID. Let me change it, like so. And then we are gonna call the execute update, like so, user ID. So we are firstly deleting all the likes, and then we are deleting the user. So what happens if this request passes, and for some reason we are not able to do that? Okay, so we have deleted like all the likes of a user, but we couldn't delete this user itself. Like, this is bad, right? We should be able to avoid this from happening. How? So that's where we're gonna use the transactional annotation from Jakarta persistence, and by doing that, we're saying the database updates that are happening within this user, which is within this method, they should be done as one transaction. Okay, so if one of them do not pass, roll back. Okay, so this will ensure that it works fine. So if I save all of this, and we're getting actually an error here, it's highlighting, so it's saying neither data source are configured and provide advanced. So this is an IntelliJ thing. Okay, you can ignore it also here, but it's compiling, you see. Actually, like IntelliJ is able to have access to the database here, and since we didn't define it, it's saying a lot of things. But now if we go back here and we try to delete our user this time, so let us query again. So as you can see, our user 1 has 2 likes, and now if we try to delete it, Jendo, save, with named parameters, user ID, where, so I did something wrong, I think. Yeah, sorry, so it should be like this. Let us run, see what it's generated. So he has now 3 likes because it's randomly generated. So now if I try to delete, user deleted successfully, and if we refresh this, like all these likes should be gone. Refresh, and as you can see, they are gone. So the last thing that's remaining is like being able to post comments. So a post can have multiple comments, and a comment should only be belonging to one post. Okay, so we have a many to one relation between a comment in a post, but also a comment should be posted by a user. Okay, and a user can have multiple comments, and a comment should only be owned by one user. So here also we have a many-to-one relation. So I'm gonna create the comment model here. So it's going to be a called comment, okay? And so it is kind of the same thing that we did like earlier. So I'm gonna paste it. So it's gonna be called like comments. It has an ID, and as I said earlier, a comment should be owned by, like, a comment should belong to one post, and the post can have multiple comments. So we have a many-to-one relation with the post, and we are ignoring to not have the same problem that we had earlier. And we are defining the name, and also we're saying that we shouldn't be having a comment where the post ID is null, okay? And then we have an author ID, like the author, it's the same. So it's a many-to-one relation, and we are saying that it should like not be nullable, okay? Then the comment should also have a content, like the actual text that's written. And then we have a creation date, an updated date, and this updated date is being updated with the pre-update as I showed you earlier, okay? So, and then we're gonna go into the post model, and we are gonna have our comments here. So let me actually, somewhere here. So we are going to have a private, so list, sorry, it should come from Java tool, and we're gonna have a comment, and they're gonna be comments, okay? And then we're gonna add the one-to-many notation, because you remember a post can have multiple comments, and a comment should only be belonging to one post. So it's a one-to-many here, and we're gonna define, as I said, since it's a bidirectional relation, the mapped by, okay? And the mapped by here is it's mapped by the post. So if we look in the comment, it's mapped by the post here, okay? By the post here. Where was I? So I was in the I was here. So it's mapped by here like this. And also we're gonna say that when a post is deleted, I want you to delete all its comments using the cascading logic that I explained earlier. So we're gonna say cascade, and cascade type we're gonna use the all. And also we're gonna use the orphan removal to through. So if we unlink a comment from its post, and that the post is not deleted, it should be removed as well. So that's what this orphan removal will do for us, and it should be true actually, like this. And then we're gonna create the command repository here. New Java, sorry, it should be a Java class interface. So we're gonna call it a command repository, like so. And it is also like quite straightforward. Just will be extending the JPA repository. Save it, and that's it actually. The remaining thing is that we're gonna create these endpoints, like the endpoints that are related to our command in our controller. So I am actually going to paste them. They are very simple, like calls. So the first one is actually where we add a comment to a post, okay? So we need the post ID, and then we call a add comment from our service, and we need this command D2. So here we're going to say Java class command D2, and let me paste this as well. So the command D2 is very simple. It just has this content and getters and setters. So we're going to save it, come here and import it, okay? We're going to import it like so. And we now need to create this add command, delete command, and edit command in our feed service, okay? So let me click here. and I'm going to paste them below here. So let me actually import it, and where we also need to instantiate actually the comment repository. So here at the top, and import it, add it to the constructor so it's auto-wired. And then so the first thing is the add comment. What it does is that it's gonna try to fetch the post using its ID. If it doesn't exist, it's gonna throw an error. Then it's gonna try to find the user. If it doesn't exist, it does the same thing, and then create the post and save it. Very simple. Then we have the edit comment. Okay, it's gonna grab the comment like before, like yeah, here it was the post, so we're posting a comment to a post, and now we're editing a comment. So we need to grab the comment that we want to edit. If it doesn't exist, we're gonna throw an error. Then we grab the user and check that the comment that we want to edit, like the user that is trying to edit the comment, is the author of the comment. If it isn't the case, we're gonna throw this error. And finally, we're gonna save it. Like we're gonna set the content, the new content, and save it. And the delete comment is the same. Grab the comment, grab the user, check that the user is the author, and then delete it. Okay. So if we come back to our feed controller now, like it's green. Okay. So let us actually just commit all of this. So it's going to be and we are using semantic commits from the beginning. So we're going to say feed, and we have implement the feed. Okay, commit all of this, and we're going to push it. On the repository, as you can see, the commit has passed, and we have everything that we did that's being applied here. So guys, thank you so much for watching the video until end, and let me know if I should improve anything in the comment section. And in the next one, we will be building the the front end side of that will be consuming everything that we did in this video to have a complete and functional, very good looking feed where we can where we can comment. Okay. And even if I refresh, so as you can see, our comments are being applied here. So and then in upcoming videos, we will still be working on the backend side, because there is a lot that we didn't do, like being able to post images, both profile pictures and also like pictures for the post, and also handling networks, connections, handling like real-time updates, notifications, and a lot of things to discover. If you have learned something from this video, please let me know via a comment or by liking the video, and also by sharing it with your friends who are also maybe interested in these topics. And see you in the next one very soon. Thank you so much.